Just wanted to talk, that's all.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Another off-season episode of Pinstripe Territory, a hot stove voicemail show. And we have our first signing of the winter by the New York Yankees. We got Ryan Yarbrough back. Welcome back, Mr. Ryan Yarbrough. I like the Yarbrough move, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute, why it makes sense, why I like it. In this episode, we're also going to talk a little bit about Anthony Volpe. How short is his leash going to be? You know, he's had the surgery. It's going to be a while before he can swing, probably not until early February if there's no setbacks. And then it's going to be even longer until he can dive on it. So there's going to be multiple questions. One, will he begin the season on the IL? That's a real possibility. And number two, how short is his leash going to be? If he comes back and he's not 100% healthy, we can't have this guy hitting 138 through June. Right now, Caballero seems to be the backup plan. But what happens if Caballero gets hurt? The Yankees do not have a lot of options. Oswaldo Cabrera could come back, but how reliable is his ankle going to be? Anyway, we're going to talk all about that. Also, I just finished episode 2 of ARod versus Alex, or Alex versus ARod. I forget what they call it. It's the new documentary about Alex Rodriguez, and it is, pretty good. It's not The Captain, right? It's one of these documentaries that it's fun to watch the highlights, but I just don't think that there's a ton of substance there. They kind of skip over a lot of, big stuff, I think. But, it's not in my top 10 of baseball documentaries, but we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about ARod and his time with the Yankees for a few minutes, and we'll take your voicemails. The one thing about that documentary that I hate, and that I hate about all those documentaries, is having to relive the 0-4 collapse when the Yankees were up 3-0 on the Red Sox and ended up blowing that series. That was very, very difficult, and it's tough to watch it, like, even in highlights. That was, if you weren't around during that time, I don't know if I can even articulate how devastating that was. That was the worst that a sports fan could possibly feel, unless it happened, I think, in the World Series. But the fact that it happened in the championship series against our arch rivals in a year where we were pretty much expected to go all the way, and the way Game 3 went, that was the toughest. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about Ryan Yarbrough. So the Yanks brought him back for 1 year, $2.5 million. And I'll tell you what, I liked what he did with the Yankees until he got hurt. Now, he is 33 years old. He appeared in 19 games, 8 of which were starts. And he had a 3-1 record with a 4.36 ERA and 64 innings pitched. Now, from May 4th through June 1st, he was 3-0 with a 2.04 ERA. And during that stretch, he was unhittable. He looked fantastic. And you wondered how he was doing it, how he was getting guys out with such soft stuff. But it really comes down to he's a pitcher, not a thrower, right? He proves that you don't need to throw 100 miles an hour to get guys out. You can spot your pitches. You can mix your pitches. You can vary your delivery and your times. He is the epitome of Jim Cott's philosophy on pitching. And Jim Cott said that the purpose of pitching, the purpose of a pitcher, is to disrupt timing for the hitters. And I agree with that 100%. He does it really well. Action VJ says, smart move to bring Yarbs back. And this helps out the rotation. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Yankees starting pitching as of right now. So obviously we've got Max Fried coming back. He's healthy. 19-5 with a 2.86 ERA. This will be his age 32 season. He made 32 starts, 195 innings, just everything you could have possibly asked for And then Carlos Rodon. Now, he is going to be 33 this season. And, here's the issue I have with Carlos Rodon. I'm not sure I can trust him in a big game. He's so full of emotions that I feel like sometimes the moment it overruns him, right? But during the regular season, he's been much more effective than I thought he would be over the last couple of years. Last year, 18-9, 3.09 ERA. Cam Schlittler, this will be his age 25 season. He showed me that he's an ace in the making. And I can't wait to watch him pitch. This will be the year of his emergence when I think back about this season. He went 4-3 with a 2.96 ERA and a 2 WAR in just 14 games. 73 innings, 84 strikeouts, 31 walks, 8 home runs allowed. Luis Gil. It's hard to believe this is his age 28 season. Seems like he's still pretty young, but really he's had some injuries and took him a while to get up. He's had trouble harnessing his command. He was 4-1 with a 2.96. Actually, I think I got that ERA wrong. I think it was 3 point something. Hang on. Let me just double check here. I think I edited his... No, 3.32 was his ERA. That's my bad. I copied it from Schlittler. But he... everything else there is right. He is one of these guys that once he figures out his command, I think he's going to be unhittable, but the command has been kind of an issue for him. One thing that alarmed me this year about Luis Gil, only 41 strikeouts in 57 innings. He's always been a guy who struck out more hitters than innings pitched. I mean, go back to his rookie season, 2024, 171 strikeouts and 151 2/3 innings. Even his initial cup of coffee in the major leagues, 2021, he made 6 starts. He had 38 strikeouts in 29 1/3 innings. So the strikeouts a little bit down. It's got to be a little bit concerning. Garrett Cole, he's going to be 35 this year, coming back from Tommy John. He's expected back in May. We'll see what he is able to put together. It's not a guarantee that he's going to come back full strength, but watching him in the bullpen, he's getting his work in. He looks healthy to me, healthy-ish. So we'll see. Will Warren, this will be his age 27 season. That's hard to believe because he was a rookie. 9-8, 4.44 ERA, 0.6 WAR, 162 innings, 171 strikeouts. I've got some stat issues happening here. I got to fix. I'm sorry, I didn't review this well enough. That's my bad. And Chase Hampton coming back. He had Tommy John surgery, so next year he could be a factor. And then Ryan Yarbrough adds to that. So, we'll see how it shakes out. But I like the move of bringing Ryan Yarbrough back. It adds, to the stable of arms here.
Hoo-ah!
All right, now Anthony Volpe. I feel like not enough people are talking about the Yankees shortstop situation. Obviously, he was somebody who got a lot of attention during the year because he had such a bad year. Just a 212 average. He did have 19 home runs. He had 18 stolen bases, so he was almost 20-20, but the defense took a step back. He just had surgery. He's not going to be swinging until February, and he's not going to be diving on it until like March or April. So it would not shock me if he opens the season on the injured list. I'd be surprised if he's still out, in mid-May or early June. I think he'll be back relatively early. But when a guy's coming back from an injury like that and he doesn't really have a full spring training, it's tough to get into a good rhythm. And this is a guy who already kind of lost his job down the stretch. He was struggling so much that they went out and they got Caballero. And then there were days where Volpe was healthy and rested and Caballero still started. So Volpe is going to be a problem if he doesn't come back and hit right away. And I wonder what kind of patience Yankees fans are going to have with Caballero, because he's a guy who is a sub 700 OPS hitter. He is not a big-time hitter. Now, he can play a little bit of defense. He can run the bases, but he's going to get picked off a lot. That's going to piss off Yankees fans. So this is just a situation that it's going to be interesting to watch. See if the Yankees maybe pick up a veteran shortstop that they can use in the event Volpe is not ready and Caballero's not good or gets hurt. And it's worth thinking about Oswaldo Cabrera. Will he be able to play shortstop coming back off that ankle? They have McCann now at third base. It doesn't seem like they're going to need Oswaldo to play much third base, but maybe he can play short. All right, let's talk about Alex. Alex Rodriguez, 295 career hitter, 696 home runs, and practically no shot at the Hall of Fame. I do think he's done a nice job rehabilitating his image in the last couple of years. I enjoy watching him, on all the baseball coverage during the postseason. I like watching his banter with Jeter and Poppy. And, some of his Yankees years were not great by his standards. I mean, 2006, he had 290 and he had 35 home runs. And he called that like the hardest year of his career, right? His first year with the Yankees, he hit 286 and he had 36 home runs and he had over 100 RBIs, adjusting to a new position. And people said that he was a bust, that was an adjustment year. That's a career best year for more than almost everybody in the league. Very few people could ever put up those kind of numbers, right? And then he won MVPs in 2005 and 2007. He made a point to say that it was like every odd year he seemed to have something great happen. So the MVP in 05, 2007, he gets off to that amazing start where he gets 14 home runs in April and hits over 50 home runs for the year, wins the MVP again. 2008, kind of an off-ish year for him. And then 2009, he gets 30 and 100. He gets seven RBIs and 2 home runs in his final game of the season in one inning to get to that 30 and 100 mark. And then he goes off in the in the playoff and the World Series to lead the Yankees to a championship, and probably, if not for Matsui, would have been World Series MVP. So I'll always love him for that. I'm a big ARod fan, but the steroid suspension, longest suspension in the history of baseball for steroids, I think it's going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. Suspended all of the 2014 season. So if you have a chance to watch the documentary, let me know what you think about it. But let's go ahead and take some voicemails.
It's just a reaction.
We let's see. We got a call about that from John.
Hey, Derek, this is John from Florida. Hey, man. Just looking at this ARod document and even looking at the Jeter document that I think came out a couple of years ago, that aura of the Yankees no longer exists. If you see the documents and how the Yankees moved and how the Yankees used to just sign these players, and even with ARod, I'm looking at the ARod document, and Cashmere was aggressive, with these type of players. Is now he wants to be cheap. What the hell is going on? What happened to the freaking Yankees? What happened? What is going on? Is it Hal? Is it really Hal? We have to do something, man. I don't want this aura to lose. It's really frustrating just seeing these old guys and how we used to just be aggressive and just used to sign these guys out of nowhere. We were the most hated franchise. Now we're a laughingstock. This has to stop, man. All right, man. Take care.
All right. So first of all, I love your call. I hated how you said documentary as documentary.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
But in terms of aura, it's interesting that you mention aura, because the teams that had all of that crazy aura, I think about the 2003 team, I think about the 2004 team, I think about the 2005 and 2006 teams that had the most star power, but none of those teams won the World Series. When I think about teams that are constructed the best, that's when the Yankees did their winning. In 1998, that team was just ruthlessly constructed of winners. Who would do anything on any given night to win the game. If it meant getting a guy over a base, if it meant getting a sac fly, if it meant, laying down a bunt, taking the extra base, you had perfect role players. You had, Homer Bush, right? In 96, you had guys like Mike Aldretti. You had Andy Fox. You had role players that contributed. They didn't stink. You had big bats off the bench like, Tim Raines and Darryl Strawberry, veteran guys, Once they started going for all the star power with like Giambi and then ARod and Sheffield and you name it. All these huge stars in the, 2005, 2006, Jose Contreras, they became less of a well-constructed team. Tons of aura, tons of star power, but didn't get it done in the playoffs. So ultimately, I want the Yankees to find a way to get it done in the postseason by constructing a team kind of more like the Blue Jays had this year. We've got a chat here about Ohtani.
Yes, hi, Derek. Steve calling from Maine. I have something that I'd like you to debate with your fellow hosts and even the people listening to your show. I'm tired of hearing this Ohtani, the greatest baseball player ever. And in fact, if he was still in the American League, there's an argument to be made that he would have 2 fewer MVPs and maybe even finish third in the last 2 years behind Cal Raleigh and Bobby Witt Jr. A little bit premature with the greatest player ever. I know he's supposed to be a great pitcher too. He is a great pitcher, but he pitched 30 innings this year. Let's see him do this a little bit longer before we anoint him better than Babe Ruth.
First of all, I love the call. That's a great call. I'm going to go ahead and dissent a little bit. Of the players that I've watched in my life, I've never seen anyone do what Shohei does. There was a game in I think it was the NLCS, where he went 6 innings on the mound of, I think, 1 hit ball, struck out like 10 guys, and he had a multiple home run game. I think he might even hit 3 home runs. It was insane. Is he the best at both? No. But he's an awesome hitter, and he's an awesome pitcher. Is he as good a pitcher as he is a hitter? No, but he's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. Best player ever? I don't know if I've ever seen a more talented baseball player. I don't. I mean, but you're not wrong that Judge might have beat him for the MVP last year and maybe this year. I do think he would have finished ahead of Cal Raleigh. Because him being a pitcher and a hitter kind of like, it's kind of like saying, oh, Cal Raleigh did so great offensively and he's a catcher, right? Well, Ohtani hit 50-plus home runs, and he's a pitcher. And 30 innings is a lot to pitch. I mean, he ate some valuable innings. I think he's great. I don't know about greatest ever, but I haven't seen every single player ever. Of the players I've watched, Bonds was in a league of his own. Judge is incredible offensively, and as a complete player, Ohtani's amazing. Here's Brian.
What's going on, Derek? It's Brian. Just had a quick question for you. What you think the Yankees should do concerning their starting rotation for the beginning of next year? Looks like with Carlos Rodon getting like loose bodies or whatever removed in his elbows, like some bone spur, something in his elbow, he's not going to be ready for the beginning of the season. I believe, from what I remember seeing anyway, it's been a while looking, but I don't think Cole's going to be back for at least a month or 2 to start the season. Clark Schmidt, I don't think they're expecting to be back until the second half.
Late in the year.
So that would leave 3, top of the end rotation spots open. Are they going to gamble kind of like what they did with Will Warren last year and bring up some of these younger arms, seeing
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and chime in. I think that you're definitely gonna see Max Fried at the top of the rotation on opening day, assuming he's healthy. Cam Schlittler, assuming he's healthy, is a lock for the opening day rotation, as is Luis Gil, unless they trade him this winter, which is a non-zero possibility, but I think they'll hang on to him. I mean, this guy Rookie of the Year a couple years ago, okay? And right now, it looks like Will Warren and Ryan Yarbrough. Is that the greatest starting 5 in the history of baseball? No. But at some point, you get Carlos Rodon back, you get Garrett Cole back, and then, if somebody gets hurt, then maybe you see some of the younger guys come up, the Carlos Lagrange, the Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. I don't know if we're going to see Clark Schmidt next year. If we do, it'll be kind of like that Jordan Montgomery situation a couple of years ago where he came back in September, pitched a couple innings, but really didn't contribute a whole lot other than that. Here is Marvin. We got 2 calls about the same thing.
What's good, Derek? This is Marvin calling from Columbus. I just had an idea, man. I feel like not a lot of people are talking about this for the Yankees, but I just saw your episode. I loved it about Tatis and Paul King. I think Tatis is the solution in the sense of we have a right fielder already now in Judge. We trade for Tatis, and we can put him in shortstop. That's the solution. I was like talking to some Padres fans, and he told me, Tatis was not a bad shortstop. I think he's gonna love that. He's gonna love the fact that he can go to New York and play and be the New York Yankees starting shortstop.
And we got another
Hey,
call.
brother, I was just looking at the Fernando Tatis trade rumors. What about getting rid of Anthony Volpe and Jason Dominguez, getting Tatis, and having Tatis play short? Again, this is Marcos out in Coachella, California.
Appreciate it, Marcos. I think it's interesting. We had two people call in on the same day about Fernando Tatis possibly playing short. I hadn't even thought about that. He has played some shortstop in the past, but that's an interesting thought. I hadn't really considered that. I don't think Tatis is going to play shortstop for the Yankees. I think if they get him, they would put him in left field, and I don't think you need to trade Volpe and Dominguez to get him because you're picking up so much of a big contract. If they decide to unload him, it's going to be basically a salary dump. Here's Brian Bashman says, Will Warren is 26 years old and has improved every year. Warren had good runs and was a reliable starter last year. Why does he get no respect? I think it's recency bias. He struggled in the second half. He gave up, think of how many home runs Carlos Rodon gave up, okay? Well, Will Warren gave up the same amount of home runs in about 30 less innings, more than 30 less innings. So he was kind of a meatball factory, and I think I have something to say about that somewhere. Where is it? I've got some I don't know where it is. I had the meatball thing ready to go. Here it is.
Time to stop throwing these fucking meatballs.
I've got this new setup here. I've been this is my first test run with the new setup. So I've got a big iPad here, and it's got all this stuff programmed on. So I've got buttons where I can show different VOs is what we call them, So like Dominguez versus Jones or Belly versus Tucker. Where I can display all this stuff and have a lot more options of things that I can show you guys. But I haven't quite figured out where everything is yet. I knew this was going to happen.
That is destiny fulfilled.
Richard C. says, we do have a history of trading with the Padres, Soto. Would taking Manny's contract help with the cost? Chase Headley was a San Diego third baseman we traded for. I don't know if I want Machado at this point. I mean, he's aging fast, but let's take a look at Machado's numbers last year, just out of curiosity. I'm interested to see what he did. All right, hang on. So last year, he hit 275 at 27 home runs and 95 ribbies, 33 years old. A lot of mileage on him, though. He did come up at 19. He's been a really good player for his career, 369 home runs, pretty consistent. That's the second year in a row he's hit 275. Year before that, 258. Year before that, 298. I mean, he hits for contact. He's got power. I don't think that the Yankees would get him now, though, because they had a chance to get him years ago, and they passed. So let's take a quick word from our sponsor, then back to wrap things up.
Hey, Jay, we're going to do things a little bit differently here. I am wearing the Perfect Jean, and I remember seeing ads for the Perfect Jean, like most comfortable fit ever, perfect fit on your body. And I was like, I'm not buying it. Now I'm buying it, and we're showing it off on FT.
Please get off my desk, first of all, Scott. Second of all, I was with you. I was skeptical about Perfect Jean, and then I got a pair, and the fitting was perfect. And my body's not hard to fit because I got a big old rear and big old legs from years of squatting, and they fit perfectly. They're stretchy, they're comfortable, they're fashionable. They're everything I look for in a jean, and now I have an extra pair, and I'm going to wear them all the time.
FOUL15 is the code at theperfectjean.nyc. FT listeners get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use code FOUL15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc with promo code FOUL15. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them Foul Territory sent you.
I personally have never worn those jeans, but they look comfortable. I like stretchy kind of jeans. Look, no one likes to eat at Thanksgiving, since we got Thanksgiving coming up, and have to unbutton their pants. You want your pants to give a little bit, right? Because most of us are going to go crazy, eat way more than we should, and that seems like the perfect pair of jeans for that. Action VJ says Manny's contract is atrocious. I'm going to go ahead and say I agree with that. We got a call here about the Guardians and Kwan.
Hey, what's up, Derek? I don't know if you saw the report that came out today of the Guardians being open to trading Stephen Kwan, They mentioned that the Guardians are looking for a better center field option and looking to add power. I find it funny that, what was it, like a few weeks ago, someone, I think it was at SNY, mentioned, straight up Jones for Quan. And now thinking about it, because of this report today, it makes sense. Center field option, power, cheap and controllable, like Jones. But the only thing that kills me is that, okay, if you get Quan, which that'd be great if it was possible, just straight up, what do you do with Dominguez? Like, honestly, you've made me such a fan of him that I can't give up on the kid. Like, I'd rather put him in center field and let Bellinger walk for Quan to be our left fielder than trade Dominguez. Like, I really can't give up on his future. I would rather take a few years of Jason Dominguez, 4 to 5 years, than Cody Bellinger.
That's an interesting call. Look, I'm a believer in Jason Dominguez, and I'm still a believer. He showed me a lot of the things this year that made me a believer in the first place. He's got a slow heartbeat. He takes close pitches. He's patient at the plate. Remember, he got to the major leagues very fast. And when he got to the major leagues, he was comfortable right away, and then he got hurt. And I think he struggled a little bit since, getting hurt. He's not a good outfielder, okay? He is not a good outfielder. But I think that give him time, he will hit, especially if he goes down to the Dominican League and hits from the right side. Like, it sounds like he's going to. But, I think he's going to be a good player, and I want to stick with him. But also, that thing I was saying before about a perfectly constructed team, right? You don't always need the highest WAR players. You don't always need the biggest stats. You need the right mix of guys. And Quan is a guy who makes contact, who puts the ball in play. He could be somebody that helps his team out. But, again, the metrics don't love him, although I think he's a pretty good player. So if the Yankees miss out on Bellinger, Quan, maybe for center field, I could see that. But I think the Yankees are ready to roll the dice with Mr. Spencer Jones. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for me. I'm going to try my new outro button, make sure it works again. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you probably Thursday night. I'm thinking about maybe doing a top 10 countdown of my favorite Yankees of all time. Got to make our winter content fun. So we'll see you then. If you enjoyed this content, please hit that like button and subscribe. Check out NYYDesigns.shop for some great merch. Support our sponsors. It helps keep the show going. And you can find us on all major audio platforms, so be sure to subscribe there too. But most importantly, come back again soon. We'll see you next time.